We're coming at you, folks. Coming at you right now on a Friday. TGIF edition of the show. Number one form for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, the hype man for all things Bama. Conversation, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming to you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, drop a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that way you can have all of the alerts, all of the commentary, all of the entertainment when it comes down to your Crimson Tide. We also got you covered on Facebook and Twitter as well. So no excuse whatsoever for you not to be locked into the number one show in discussing your Crimson Tide. We got some things to get into on this evening. We're going to have our own Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst, back on to talk about JT Tuimoloau not coming to Alabama, not visiting this week, decided to veto the visit. So JTT, the five-star defensive lineman, not coming to the Crimson Tide. Bama not even on the radar at this point anymore. What does this mean? Alabama also got a huge commitment from a three-star tight end for the 2022 class. Justin's very juiced about that young man. We'll talk that, among other things. But we want you guys being a part of tonight's show. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. That's the number right there to let your voice be heard tonight. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. That daily super chat goal, as always, people, $75 daily super chat goal. You guys have been outstanding. And our own Spencer Reveley is getting us started right now. That $5 donation from him entering the super chats. Appreciate the love there from Spencer. Guys, shout out my man John Ivory in the production studio, doing his thing as he always does. But right now, we're going to quickly jump into topic number one here of tonight's conversation, and that goes to one head coach Nick Saban. He was featured this week on The Fan 680, that is 93.7 out of Atlanta. And the topic was on, Coach Saban, you're a defensive-minded guy. You're a defensive guru, a defensive genius. You've been raised on defense, birthed on defense, coached on defense. So with this offensive explosion or offensive evolution, if you will, that's going back to 2018. Does this frustrate you? Does this bother you? Does this concern you? And Coach Saban laughed. No, he literally laughed. He chuckled. He was like, you know what? No, not really. Not really at all. I love it. It's tough. It's challenging. I mean, it's competitive. Don't get me wrong, but I love it. I love a challenge. I love a fight. I love competition. If we were still running the I formation, I would be bored out of my mind. And for Coach Saban to say he loves this, he's embraced this, he's open to it, this should make everybody else in college football feel very uncomfortable. And the reason why I say this is, for such a long period of time, the powers that be in college football, they have thrown so many things trying to offset Nick Saban, trying to frustrate him, trying to, force an early retirement. When you look at, first and foremost, if you think about it, the no-huddle offense, that was the first thing they tried to throw at Saban, having offenses go fast, go quick, speed up, not having Alabama the opportunity to get those adjustments done, to get the substitutions on the field and sub players out and keep players fresh. The no-huddle offense, people thought that's going to frustrate Nick Saban. That's going to bother Coach Saban. That's going to force early retirement. That did not happen. When you look at, of course, the two recruiting periods, people felt like for the longest time Saban was dominating the traditional recruiting period, which was every February. So then people felt like, okay, if we split the recruiting period up and make it an early signing period with a traditional signing period, that should frustrate Coach Saban. That should offset him. That should force maybe that early retirement. That didn't happen as Saban has learned to master it. Then people said, well, if we poach his coaches from him, if we take his assistant coaches away from him, that should offset him, that should frustrate him, that should force their early retirement. Well, Saban has been able to bounce back with even better coaches, even smarter coaches, even sounder coaches, even more competitive coaches, even guys that are more so keen in the analytics and the ins and outs and data and number of things. And when you look at the college football playoff system, Saban had dominated the BCS for a good period of time, to where people said, okay, let's switch the game up. Let's bring the CFP system in here. Maybe that will offset and frustrate Coach Saban. That did not happen. So many things people have brought to the table to maybe make Coach Saban's retirement, force it on a little bit earlier than planned. But the 69-year-old has found a way to maneuver, to navigate, and to go through it all. And just hearing him laugh and chuckle about, people, I'm cool with this new age offense. I'm cool with this high scoring. I'm cool with this high play. I'm good with it. You want to know why he's good with it? Because he's able to take his offenses and be able to do even more with the offenses he has, doing it better than the opposition. You go back to the 2020 team for just a moment here. You look at, with having Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jaleel Billingsley. Alabama was able to score points at will. 48.5 points per game, most of the Saban era. 11 games with at least 40 or more points. Bama was able to drop the hammer on teams. Saban's going, okay, you want to play hard ball? You want to have high-flying, new-age offense? I can do it too. I can adapt too. I can bring the coaches in too that can do that. But I think here is where the frustration and the uncomfortableness, if that's even a word, I'm going to make it a word today. This is where the uncomfortableness should come in for the opposition. Even though Saban has embraced the high-flying offense, even though he's embraced the new age style, even though he is really comfortable now with where the game is and where it's heading, Saban still has the defensive wherewithal, instincts, and the mental fortitude on that side of the ball to still neutralize opposing offenses when he needs to. Think about that. He may not be able to just shut teams down like Alabama used to do, but when Nick Saban needs to get that stop, whether it's a sack, a 3-and-out, a turnover, when he needs to get that stop, he can do that. Case in point, let's look back at the national championship game and the team he faced, the Ohio State Buckeyes. In years past, what has been the narrative that national media loves to throw up? Well, if you want to beat Alabama, you got to have a dual-threat quarterback. You got to have an athletic quarterback, somebody mobile, somebody who is exceptional, not only in running the football, but in passing the football. Ohio State had that in Justin Fields. But you look at, people say, that quarterback also has to have weapons around him. Ohio State had the weapons around Justin Fields. When you talk about Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jamison Williams prior to Williams making the transition to University of Alabama, transferring in here, it also had Master Teague at running back as well, and a couple of really good tight ends. I remember personally, myself and Patrick Dowd, the breaking news reporter for TDA, we were both in Miami. We were both at Hard Rock Stadium for the game, and we were talking to different fans, Buckeye fans. One in particular kept saying, Chris Olave gonna smoke Bama. Chris Olave gonna catch 3 to 4 touchdowns, man. I ain't even worried about our offense. We gonna smoke Bama. We gonna snipe Bama. We got Bama. Bama push over to us. We ain't worried about Bama. And, this is what they were saying. And you had a whole bunch of people that had that score prediction for that game, 38-28, 35-31. They had it real close, just paying that homage and respect to Ohio State's offense. But you saw Nick Saban, when Alabama needed to, it was able to make Justin Fields uncomfortable. It was able to take away Chris Olave. It knocked Trey Sermon out the game in the first half, in the first quarter, for that matter. it was able to neutralize Ohio State's offense when it wanted to. In the second half of the game, I think the Buckeyes only put up, 7 points? Final score was 52-24, but the Buckeyes only scored one touchdown in the second half. So we have seen where Nick Saban saying, hey, I'll play with you. I'll give you the high-scoring offense. I will run that with you. I will bring the Lane Kiffins. I will bring the Brian Dables. I will bring the Michael Loxleys. I will bring the Steve Sarkisians. And now we got Bill O'Brien in here, and you guys as fans excited to see what he does. Saban said, I will play with you. I will play your game, and I will play it better than what you're playing it. But along with that, I still have the defensive mindset as a head coach to where when I want to neutralize you, when I want to take you off your game, when I want to offset you, when I want to take your edge away from you, I can do it also. And just hearing Coach Saban laugh about that, chuckling about that on the Fan 680, 93.7 out of Atlanta this week, something that every college football coach opposition should get really, really uncomfortable about, because they've been trying to frustrate Nick Saban, to offset Nick Saban, to force an early retirement out of Coach Saban, and they still have not been able to do it yet. But folks, we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, just getting started. Upon our return, we get into your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your texts, your dialogue, your ideas. We entertain you right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we're back in, folks, to the action from the break of a number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on today. We got the man Waylon, who's dropped in that $9.99 in the Super Chat donations. Appreciate the love they're coming from Waylon. As always, people, that daily Super Chat goal, $75 daily Super Chat goal. Appreciate you guys helping us out here. I don't know if I said Hard Rock Stadium or Hard Rock Cafe. If I said Cafe, I had food on my mind. But Patrick Dowd and I were at Hard Rock Stadium for that Alabama-Ohio State game in Miami for the 2020 National Championship. But we're back here from the break here, folks, to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Steven, I got us a bobblehead ordered for your desk there. I ordered you one of them Mac Jones bobbleheads, but it's not going to be here to around August sometime. I don't know. There must be a big demand for them. So you can set that on your desk and thump Mac on the head and watch it go back and forth. I got to do this quick. First of all, we want to remember these people in Surfside, Miami, Florida. This is a tremendous tragedy here. These people, we want to keep those people in our prayers and hope the best. Everything comes out. And this judgment that came down today for George Floyd, we want to remember that. This judge done the right thing, and he done exactly what he should have done, and he probably should have done more. But I want to move on quick here. We want to talk about the quarterback poll that you put on YouTube there. Jay Coker, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Mack, and 2. I'm going to lay it off to you right now quick. Jay Coker, you got to go back and watch your football film. Coker made throws. He made plays himself. If it hadn't been done, we would not have won a national championship. Coker was a big guy, was way bigger than what they had him on the list. I mean, I got pretty close to him. I'm sure Steven did too. Great athlete. He's great. Jalen Hurts had one bad game, national championship game. He had the best stats in the country. You couldn't touch him statistic-wise. Okay? We're going to skip one, Mac Jones, one-hit wonder. People going to say, you don't like Mac? That's all it takes is a one hit. That's all it takes in the music business is a one hit to get rich. So, bingo, he's up at the Patriots. He'll win a championship. Tua made the throw on 226. Smitty made the run. He stopped, juked a little behind the defender, got that safety a half a step off that elusive speed, made the touchdown in that game. Of course, you had to have somebody to throw the ball. But I think he left his legacy a little unsigned to Alabama. But I'm going to end it up with this. A.J. McCarron, 3 national championships, 2 SEC titles, 2 Western Division championships. What else do I need to say, Stephen? Who's the best quarterback at Alabama?
I mean, Waylon, I see it, man. I see it, and a lot of people were asking, why did I leave Greg McElroy off? I wasn't trying to leave Greg off. It's just YouTube, like Twitter, you can only put so many names in. But appreciate it so much, Waylon. Thank you. I mean, I was not trying to leave Greg off. Greg, the first national championship quarterback of the Coach Saban era. I was trying to find a way to put Greg in there, but once again, the characters on YouTube, much like the characters on Twitter, you can't get as many as you would like to get on there. But gotta shout out Willie351 one time. That's 777 in the super chats. Appreciate Willie351 also. The thoughts there from Waylon, definitely keeping the people in Miami in our prayers, and also just wanting to be closer as a society, closer as a people, and as always, enjoy the Alabama football that we get that chance to enjoy. But as always, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. As you're getting your thoughts in, very touching topic right here. Devontae Smith, he made a promise to his mom when he got drafted. Maybe even before he got drafted. One of the things Smitty's always saying, when I get drafted, when I get my money, I'm going to take care of mom. I'm going to get mom right. And as much as we love seeing these young athletes dominate at Alabama, these young athletes make it to the NFL, these young athletes sign these contracts, when they take their funds and they sow and they give back to the people that meant the most to them, the people that really nourished them and mentored them and wanted to see the best for them, it just does my heart good to just watch Devontae Smith bless his mother with this home, the emotions, the tears, the hugs, the joy, the excitement. Mama know baby looked out for me. Mama know baby cared about me. Mama know, hey, I did right by this one. And the good Lord allowed this one to bless me in such a way that, I became emotional. So big ups to Devontae Smith, doing that for his mom, doing that for his family. And I know that young man is going to have an outstanding career in the pros. But we take a break right now, folks. As always, don't touch that dial, because upon our return, we will sit down with Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, but talk about more recruiting where Bama is concerned. But before we actually go to break, we got to shout out Dallas Schwartz with that $50 donation in the Super Chats. Dallas Schwartz is stuck in here with that $50 donation. Appreciate that from Dallas. But like I said, when we get back, we sit down with my man Justin Smith after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we're back in here, folks, from the break on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. McConaughey will not be outdone, y'all. McConaughey comes in here with a $25 donation, helping us out here in the Super Chats. That $75 Super Chat goal has been met. So appreciating Waylon, Willie 351, McConaughey, Dallas Schwartz, everybody that's been jumping in here, throwing the money in the bag. Appreciating all that you guys do. But as we're back in from the break, we're going to go over to the In My Own Words hotline where we do pick up the man, the legend, the boots on the ground in recruiting. Nobody does it the way this guy does it. It's Justin Smith here, scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Justin, what's going on, man? Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you, Stephen. Happy to be on as always.
Absolutely. So, Justin, what's got people a little shook up, not all the way shook up, but a little shook up was, the five-star defensive lineman JT Tuimoloau, who decided to not come to Alabama. He decided to not take his visit. He vetoed the visit, basically stating how he's going to focus on Oregon, Ohio State, USC, and Washington. So Alabama no longer on the radar, and some people are kind of freaking out about it. I know I spoke with you briefly before coming on, and you said there may have been maybe a mutual agreement between Alabama and JTT that maybe, JTT should look elsewhere. What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, I definitely think it was a heavily interest on both sides for a good amount of time, and that's why I feel that Alabama was involved in his recruitment for so long. They have been involved in it throughout him, extending it past the traditional signing period, past the early signing period. So I think there was a lot of heavy interest on both sides. The biggest takeaway for me in terms of Alabama and JT Tuimoloau at this point is the fact that Alabama is still going to have a pretty impressive recruiting class without landing JT. It would have been great to pick up the athletic defensive end from Washington. He can do it all. This is a kid who could possibly play tight end at the next level. You usually don't see that many prospects who can play defensive end and tight end. That just points out how athletic JT is. But Alabama's 2021 recruiting class is still a great one of the best ones that Nick Saban has ever signed in terms of the stars, in terms of the rankings, and also in terms of what they can bring to the University of Alabama. So I think Alabama is still in a great position with the guys they landed in the 2021 recruiting class. I think another big takeaway is that Alabama is going to go after a lot of defensive ends, in my opinion, in this 2022 recruiting class. They did not really hit on too many guys in that 2021 class, so that is a result of them not landing JT, but it did hit on guys like Monkel Goodwine and Equin Barnes, who are expected to play defensive end. But when you look at Alabama's defensive end room in terms of those guys that they currently have, a lot of those guys are turning into juniors and seniors. Speaking of guys like Justin Igborgby, Byron Young, also looking at the Brian Ray, and I think Alabama wants to bring some younger guys in there in the near future. I think in the 2022 recruiting class, I think they're going to focus a little bit more on defensive ends.
So, Justin, now the guy that you were excited about, because along with JTT saying he was not coming to Alabama, Bama actually got a huge commitment for the 2022 class by the way of 3-star tight end Amari Niblack. And Niblack out of Florida, Alabama continuing to recruit the state of Florida when you talk offensive linemen, defensive backs, wide receivers. Now it gets a tight end from the state. What has you so excited about Niblack? Because when I was talking to you about him, your face just lit up. What makes him stand out?
He's a 6'5" tight end prospect who could easily play wide receiver. If you take a look at a video that he posted on his Twitter actually a couple of months ago, he runs this tremendous route, makes the defensive back fall, and you don't really see that out of a tight end, a guy who's 6'5". You don't see them running routes at that level, and that really impressed me. So I think he has the possibility to be a receiving tight end at the next level for Alabama, a guy who they can line out wide like they lined Jaleel Billingsley out wide in their offense now. And I think he has the opportunity to bring some excitement to Alabama's tight end room. I know Alabama has continued to try to go after receiving tight ends. They have not been able to land a couple of different guys in the past when we look at Darnell Washington and Rick Gilbert, but I think they have one of those type of players now in Amari Niblack, and I think this was a huge pickup for Alabama.
If you're just tuning into the Friday, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine here on YouTube. We got Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst here for TDA, breaking down the Crimson Tide on the recruiting trail right now. And Justin, this week, Alabama is expected to have a 4-star defensive back Jake Pope here on the campus. Now, he projects to be a safety. Where does he fit in the grand scheme of things at that position where Alabama is concerned, Jake Pope?
Well, I think, first off, this is an extremely underrated prospect in terms of most recruiting sites having him ranked as a 3-star recruit. This guy is easily a 4-star recruit or higher. You take a look at his highlight film. It is so exciting to see what he can do. I really love defensive backs who can make plays in the secondary. They make football good to watch, exciting to watching to see a defensive back who can come up with interceptions. He makes a pretty impressive play in his junior film on Huddle. Basically, he goes up and snatches the football very close to the line of scrimmage, just showing off the hops that he has. He has a nice vertical. I think this kid can do it all. He will be a great pickup for the Crimson Tide. I think Alabama considers him one of their top targets in the 2022 recruiting class. He looks to announce a commitment during the summer, possibly at some point in July. So an official visit to Alabama this weekend could put Alabama in a good position with him heading into that commitment. But he is an extremely underrated recruit, but he is just one of the many high-profile prospects that will be in Tuscaloosa on this weekend. They will also host 5-star defensive end Amar Abar out of Texas. That is another interesting recruit to pay attention to, especially when you consider the fact that Alabama may put more of a focus on defensive ends in the 2022 recruiting class. You have guys they'll be all over the campus of the University of Alabama throughout the weekend, including 4-star running back Nicholas Singleton. Alabama has 2 running back commits at the moment, but Singleton chose to stick to his plans. He told me that he's still coming to Tuscaloosa this weekend despite Alabama having 2 running backs verbally committed in the 2022 recruiting class. You have Dane Shore, a 4-star offensive lineman who will also be on the campus of the University of Alabama. You have another 4-star offensive lineman out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. He's another guy I will pay close attention to this weekend. He is close friends with Alabama's freshman offensive lineman, JT Latham. He has a great relationship with the Tide's offensive line coach, Doug Marrone. They have been able to build that relationship by virtually Zooming throughout the recruiting dead period. So I think it will be a great opportunity for Alabama's coaching staff to see him in person. But things are going to get really exciting in Tuscaloosa on this weekend.
Now, Justin, of course, the Crimson Tide also will have an offensive lineman on the campus this weekend by the name of Tyler Booker, and you've been high on this man also. Now, I know Alabama has brought in a lot of offensive linemen in the last recent classes, especially this past class, when you look at the Brockemeyer boys, Tommy and James, Tommy Brockemeyer, James Brockemeyer, J.C. Latham, Terrence Ferguson Jr., which all came in the 2021 cycle. But what does Tyler Booker bring specifically that has Nick Saban, Doug Marrone, and his staff kind of interested to have him on campus?
Well, he has been able to build that great relationship with Doug Marrone because of the Northeast vibe that they have. Those were the exact words that he used when I talked to him at the Under Armour camp a couple of months ago in Atlanta. He told me that Northeast vibe is different. Every place in the country has a different type of vibe, and he was able to connect with Doug Marrone on basically with their Northeast connection. But he's a top-ranked offensive lineman in this 2022 recruiting class for a reason. This is a guy who could be a guard or tackle at the next level. I really like his mobility. He's another one of those agile prospects similar to J.C. Latham. I think IMG Academy uses him as a running back in goal line situations, just showing how agile he can be and how good he is at moving around as an offensive lineman. So he will be a great pickup for Alabama. I consider him one of the Crimson Tide's top offensive line targets. I felt that Alabama was leading in its recruitment before visits were allowed again, but I think with him taking visits to programs like Florida and Georgia, I think the Gators and the Bulldogs have sort of caught up with Alabama in terms of their push for Tyler Booker, but I think this gives Alabama an opportunity to possibly create some more separation for the four-star offensive lineman on this weekend.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on here to In My Own Words, giving us the lowdown, the skinny on all things recruiting for the Tide this weekend. Justin, appreciate you, man. As always, take care of yourself, man. Stay safe out there, brother.
You do the same, Steven.
Always fun and exciting to have Justin on the show. No JTT? No problem. Alabama will still have guys visiting the campus this weekend for the class of 2022 and beyond. And Saban not slowing down one bit, not one iota, when it comes down to bringing the best talent here to the University of Alabama. But folks, we take a break right now on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, we go back into the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your texts, your chats, your conversations right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now, as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks. All right, people. We are back in here from the break with number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Definitely appreciate our own Justin Smith in that last segment, scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. We got some super chats to get to right now, and we'll start things off with the man from Philly, the city of brotherly love, Willie Beeman. That $20 donation comes from Big Willie Beeman. Appreciate that. And then William Bryan comes in right behind him with that $49.99 donation right there. John, where's the horn? And then we got Richard G, who comes in here with that $10 donation. Richard G. And then New Jack comes in with that $8.88 from New Jack. So we got Richard G, New Jack, Willie Beeman, and William Bryan. Oh my goodness, you guys are incredible, helping us out here on the show. Richard G, $10 more in there. So Richard G again. So, I mean, awesome. Everybody helping us out, showing the love, showing the appreciation. Now, of course, I think with Richard G's donation, he also dropped in, Roll Tide, the TDA, JTT's loss, not ours. And I mean, I would have loved to have had Tuimoloau for the Crimson Tide, but, I mean, once again, he's part of a 2021 class. It was at a time where, COVID going on, you're not taking those official or unofficial visits. And if you are looking at the program, you have to look at it through a virtual tour, and you have to go to the program based on the prestige and the name that the program has out there. And I know JTT wanted to take those visits, but I think Coach Saban has gotten to a point where he's tired of waiting, right? Waiting in recruiting is what, got Nick Saban messed up in 2018. If you remember, he was waiting on different guys, and coaches were leaving, and coaches were going elsewhere to other programs, and the guys he wanted to get, Nick Saban was holding off, so those guys left for other programs. I think waiting kind of bit Nick Saban in the butt in that 2018 class, so now Saban's like, forget waiting. If you gonna come, you gonna come. We're going to prioritize you. We're going to put the notice out here. If you want to come to Bama, come to Bama. Don't sugarcoat, don't shuck and drive. Let us know. If you ain't trying to come, if you ain't trying to visit, then we're going to move on to the other folks that's trying to come in here. I feel like Saban has learned a lot from that 2018 situation, and he has been able to rectify it since then. But, as always here, folks, before we go into your phone calls here, got to go to a cool topic, and that's on Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman. Rudy Griffin is back in the coaching game. My man is the defensive line coach for Lowndes High School in Georgia. This is a powerhouse program, and a program that will not only be able to compete for state championships, but also national championships in high school. My man, Coach Griffin, going back home to his state of Georgia to coach high school football again. So proud of him, so happy for him, especially after the success he has had at Hewitt-Trussville High School here in the Birmingham area. He was the head coach for Bessemer City High School for a year, but now getting the opportunity to go back home to the home state for Lowndes High School. But we take a call right now. You guys can go to the phone lines. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Doing good, and yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing even better now. I know that JT's not going to Alabama. I'm over here on the West Coast, man, and I'm an Oregon Ducks guy. And I just want to call and say, go Ducks. Glad he's not going to Tide territory. We're going to see you guys in the playoffs, man. Have a great Friday, guys.
Appreciate the call right there. I mean, if JTT ends up going to Oregon, I can live with that. I mean, Mario Cristobal's over there, head coach, former Bama guy. I got nothing but love and respect for Cristobal. So if JTT goes to Oregon and he teams up with Kayvon Thibodeau, I can't get mad at that. So we shall see what happens. But congratulations to my man Rudy Griffin, coaching Lowndes High School in Georgia. Proud of his new step here. But we go to a break right now on the show. Don't touch that dial. Upon our return, the biggest preseason All-American list has dropped. It features 8 Bama players, including 1 first-teamer. We will talk about that preseason list after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
As always, as we're back in from the break here on the #1 show for Bama football news, notes, information, in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday. TGIF edition of the show. Appreciate all the calls, texts, tweets, chats, donations. You, the Tide family, you the Tide fan base, give yourselves a hand. You guys have been outstanding. But before we get into the final topic of conversation on this evening, got to remind you guys of TDAwear.com. Yes, it is right here. TDAwear.com. So for all of you still overjoyed with the Tide's national championship, we want you guys to check out our championship collection merch. Now, this means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk. Hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go to the Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. And be like your man. Be like yours truly. I got my gear on right now, rocking the TDA shirt right here. But folks, final topic of conversation. I've mentioned this quite a couple of times this offseason. This is the time of the year where we get those preseason All-American team lists. So many organizations, so many media outlets and foundations putting these out here. But the biggest list of all dropped on Wednesday, and that's the Phil Steele preseason All-American list. Now, and I've said this before, there are certain people out there, certain venues out there, when they put something out, you take it at face value, you believe it at face value, because these are the people that know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And Phil Steele has been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this for a long time. So if Phil Steele put a list out here, I'm taking it at face value because greatly respect what he does. Now, 8 players from Bama are represented here on this list. The lone first-teamer, Will Anderson. Will Anderson, we're coming back as the sophomore at outside linebacker from Georgia. He is the lone first-team preseason All-American representing Bama on this list. And we don't have to go through all the numbers that Will Anderson had last year. We know he was a menace. We know he was a wrecking ball. We know he had quarterbacks and running backs scared to absolute death. And with him being back, it's going to be more craziness, more production, more dominance, more big playability on his end. I truly see him, by the time his career is over, he will have some records. He will set some records. He will break some records where Crimson Tide football is concerned. When you go on to the second teamers, Bama had 3 guys represented when you discuss John Mechie, Evan Neal, and Josh Jobe. Starting this thing off with Evan Neal, second team All-American preseason. I would have probably put Evan first team because 6'7", 360, big, massive, didn't give up a whole bunch of sacks. I think he probably gave up maybe 1 or 2 sacks last year and over hundreds of snaps. I mean, the guy was insane. Really good. Really, really good, really, really firm, really, really solid, exceptional as a right tackle. He's now flipping over here to left tackle, and I'm excited to see Evan Neal not just protect the blind side of Bryce Young, but also opening up those run lanes for Brian Robinson, Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, Trey Sanders, Kamar Wheaton, the whole 9 coming out of that backfield. So Evan Neal was a second teamer. John Mechie was a second teamer. Now this one I can see. This one I can understand why Phil Steele put him at second team, because now Mechie is going from being a contributor to he's the lead receiver. He's the ace in the room. He's the number 1 dog. He has to carry this entire unit. Last year was explosive. This year, can he be explosive and consistent in having that connection there with Bryce Young as his quarterback? Of course, I mentioned on Wednesday's show, if Mechie could have about 65 catches this season, maybe 1,300 yards, between 10 to 15 touchdowns, should be a first-round pick. But I can see why Phil Steele has him as a second teamer. The last second teamer he had was Josh Jobe. This is a big year for Josh Jobe, and I mentioned this on Wednesday. He's got the opportunity to be the leader of the secondary. He's the oldest guy in terms of that cornerback position, probably even in the whole DB room. So for Jobe, be strong, be passionate, be physical, but not let your physicalness lead to you being overly handsy and you getting called for defensive holding and pass interference and all of this nonsense. Trust in your technique out there on the field. But Josh Jobe was the third second teamer. As we go into the third team, guys, representing Bama here on the field steal list. First one was Christian Harris. Christian Harris made third team. Now, I think this was a little bit low, but once again, here's where Christian Harris has a chance to prove himself to everybody that he is the real deal. I mean, we saw what he did last year, 79 tackles, 7 of those tackles for loss, had a huge interception, 6 quarterback hurries, made a whole bunch of plays there on the field. But now this year, he's going to have a chance to not just orchestrate that defense and making some of the calls there from that weak side backer position, but also flying around the field, making hits, making plays, creating big-time moments there for that defense right behind Christian Harris. Field still had Big Fidarian Mathis, Big 5 Mathis, a third team. And I agree with this one. I agree with Big 5 Mathis as a third teamer because now it is his time to have the energy, to have the emotion, to have the passion, to have the leadership, to have the production on the defensive line, taking it to the next level, taking it to a different octave in replacing one Christian Barmore, who is now with the New England Patriots of the NFL. And the last third teamer we've got here, Will Reichert, kicking field goals, plays kicker. Will Reichert, perfect last year, 14 for 14 on field goals, made all 84 extra points for the first time in a long time. You, the Alabama Nation, you didn't have to sip tequila. You didn't have to drink Jack and Coke. You didn't have to use swear words. You didn't have to go through all of these rituals every time the place kicker took the field. Will Reichert alleviated all of that for you. So he's listed there as a third teamer. And last but not least, the lone fourth team preseason All-American was Malachi Moore, according to Field Steele. Now, this is another one that I was like way too low for me. Malachi last year was a beast. 3 picks, was a beast. 7 to 8, 6 pass breakups, was a beast. Forced fumble recovery for a touchdown. Freshman All-SEC, freshman All-American, second team All-SEC. Malachi Moore was a big deal. So, not quite filling Field Steele and putting him fourth team preseason All-American, but this is what's going to make Malachi be even hungrier in the upcoming season here for the Crimson Tide. But that was just the Field Steele list here that came out on Wednesday. Preseason All-America team for 2021. Alabama with 8 guys represented, including one first teamer, that being Will Anderson. But we got to shout out Mechanic, who done dropped in this $5 donation in the Super Chats. We are up now to $200 in donations here. Appreciate the love coming from every single last one of you guys helping us out here on the show. As always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Monday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're also trying to get you that fresh edition, that print edition of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, you can get that by going to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description. And if you're also trying to get that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com, that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands' children. The weekend is in the building, but be sure to do the right thing, the fun thing, the smart thing, the good thing, the legitimate thing, to not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spit in my own words.